And here we are, the grand finale. Welcome back to the final part of Death End Request, where today we'll be finally pressing up to Iris at the end of Odysseia to try and stop her rampage and potentially stop this fusion of worlds from becoming getting any further, essentially. And yeah, sorry it's a little bit later of an upload, but I had things to do throughout the morning here in the UK, so I just bit the bullet and went, look, I'll do it a little later in the day, but I'll still make sure it's with you today. But it's not actually that much of a journey between here and the end piece. But do be wary that when you trigger the next flag, you're not going to be travelling anything in the world anymore, because you're going to go straight to the final boss, and then it's straight into the ending scene, and then after that there is no post-game. It goes straight into New Game Plus after that. So if there's any last minuscule little things at the shop you want to buy, or little things you want to do before New Game Plus, go for it now, because that red lift over there that you just saw, that takes you straight to the final boss and to the end of this adventure. So I decided to do one more encounter to show off some of the new enemies here before pressing up. Everyone at the peak of the power and my team's set. It will be Sheena, Al and Celica that will be pulling us through the final boss. And just as a forewarning, there's 3 phases to the final boss. I will not be saying a word throughout the entirety of the first phase, because the music that plays is worth standing on its own. And you'll get more of an understanding of what I mean why. Same with the credits. When we get there much later in the video, I will not be talking over that. There is a post-credit scene, and after the post-credit scene I will be discussing what I think the ending all means. Because as I've alluded to quite a lot throughout this, the ending isn't exactly clear. Nothing about the ending coming up is extremely clear-cut about what any or all of it means. And you just have to deal with that. Like, it's just what it is. It doesn't give you the answers, it just gives you the pieces, and you can try and work out what it means. And what I think it means compared to what you might think it means could be different, and it doesn't mean either of us are wrong. Well, until Death End 2 comes out, neither of us are wrong. And you're going to see, I make sure they make this opportunity to boost Celica, like using things like Hone Power, so then she's as powerful as she can be by the time we get to the main meat of the finale. And to use billiards one more time, because it's done us so well throughout the adventure. Even if I think I'd really struggle to get a good shot with this. Oh no, I'd get that. I think it's because I just healed that I wanted to go full force, so I went for this approach.
What's this?
Yeah, well at least I got one of them in that effort. And you see, yeah, I had to quickly press R3 again because I was locked in place. When you tap R3, it locks you in place so you can swivel on the spot quicker. Which is a neat little idea. It's helpful in gameplay, and I only really use it for billiards for positioning. But yeah, but when you're ready, approach this pinkish aura, and it will take you up to the end. There's one more treasure up here, but it really doesn't mean much. It's just some healing. When you're ready, well, the finale's right there. There's nothing else here, so make sure you've got your final preparations. I show off everyone's final level. And, well, end stats. Your stats don't need to be this. If you're anywhere in your late 90s, you should be fine for this. And speaking of, Lucille was the only one who didn't breach the soft level cap. Because she just starts out so weak compared to everyone else. And I also show one last time the equipment I had for everyone. Everyone's equipped with their ultimate weapon, and what I felt was the best equipment for them for the rest. And I won't be showing DLC Repuka because, as I said, I haven't been using it for the entirety of the adventure. But when you're ready, press on. We made it! The highest level! That's... It's Iris! Huh, is it me or has she gotten bigger? She's beginning to absorb other Itoma beasts. Her stats are through the roof. She's only going to get stronger. It's now or never. What should I do? Defeat her? Wait, let me have a moment. Just one, so I can talk to her. What's that huge chain around her? I bet you that it's the virus that Aphesis inflicted Iris with. You can tell it's causing her a lot of pain. Poor Iris. Iris, it's me. Do you recognize me? I'm so sorry for being late. Does it hurt? It does, doesn't it? You've been corrupted by an awful curse, and you've endured so much despair. It's fine now. Leave it to me. Let me save both you and this world. Now, both Mizunashii and I have friends. You don't have to be afraid of the future. We've made sure of it. Come on, let's go. Grah! And you get to listen to Return to Me one more time in the background. Ugh. But no, now is my opportunity to be quiet because the final boss themes, well, the phase 1 of the final boss theme is amazing. Just enjoy this.
Alright, let's go! My turn. What's that? All good. Yeah! I got you now! Ha! Eat that! Take that! Here I come! Hey, how's this? These stars are coming down! Blast off! These stars are coming down! Let's go! All right. I've got your back. I can win this. Activating. Come on, let's go. Not a problem. My turn. All good. Ta! I got you now! Fly! Here I come! Ow! Hey, how's this? Back off! Ha! Hey-ya! Go! Bye-bye! We rock! Alright! Work harder.
I've always been a fan of that piece of music, but the fact that they used their own little rendition of it for the first phase of this final boss just added so much emotional weight to it that I always just love it for what it is. Iris! Sheena, don't overdo it, you're almost there. Since this isn't a video game anymore, because we're in the so-called real world, receiving damage really hurts. How are you so happy-go-lucky? And I don't know, I guess I just feel really alive right now. If this really is the real world, maybe I should appreciate it a little more. Wait to see if we survive first. And get ready, because this is a three-phased fight. That was just phase 1. It's no use, it feels like nothing we throw at her is working. No, it's working, it's just that her HP values are so buggy that they're fluctuating wildly. You have to keep chipping away like a raid. Roger! Phase 2. Her health is doubled than what it was in phase 1, so this fight will probably take significantly longer. The bugs around the arena are far more dangerous, minus the invincible bugs. And she will stop, and her stats have increased. Each phase is harder than the last, with more health and more defense and just more brutal bugs to boot. So just give it all your all. Be wary of the fact that she doesn't actually counter anything. So you should absolutely be using that to your advantage to essentially bring whatever the hell you want. Whatever you feel makes your party work the best, use it. But because she is chained to the ground, you are not getting knocked back. She will not move an inch from knockback attacks, no matter what you do. And I have really goddamn tried to see if you can get something out of it, but no, she is chained to the ground. She is not doing anything. Poor Iris. You can see there was a knockback attack there and nothing happened. As you can see there, because of how brutal the bugs are, I try and take the opportunity to catch corners so then the invincibility bugs are on their own. So someone can just pick them up as they go past without much thought.
Keep going.
But just be wary of how you handle yourself and how you leave yourself by the end of this fight. Because keep in mind, this is not the last phase. The next fight is your last fight. And it's obviously the hardest to be the main event. And it's a little bit, like, it is something I am going to criticize, like, and I kind of hope they change it for the second game. In this game, that first phase theme, we've already heard it before in this game. We heard it in the opening cutscene, right at the very start of the adventure. It played in the background. This theme that's playing in the second phase, we've heard it a gazillion times throughout the fight. Phase 3 is going to play Return to Me for the entire time, which, yeah, is the first time it's played during a fight, but we've already heard it a handful of times because it replaced Rapuka's theme starting last part. And so I do want to criticise that I wish whatever theme they gave it was a theme that we hadn't heard before. Whether it was the theme we heard during the first phase, or whether it was Return to Me, or whether it was a completely new composition. I just wish it was a track that we hadn't heard before, so it was a completely original final boss theme. We don't technically have that, we just have themes that are heard elsewhere that are used for the final boss theme. And I hope with the sequel we do get an original new piece for it. Because this team's proven with the Mary Skelter games, they know how to make an amazing soundtrack with great final boss themes. So just fucking do it. Go all out. It's a sequel, not the original for the next one, so go wild with it. Make sure it's the strongest impact you can make with it to either continue or wrap up whatever story this was trying to make. Because that's the thing, and it'll probably be a discussion that I'll have again when Death End 2 eventually comes out, but whether or not I feel like this should be turned into a trilogy, or whether I want the second one to end this story, I'm very undecided about all of that, to be honest. I can't. Mizanashi, what's the deal with Iris's HP? It's so bizarre, we should have wiped out most of her HP, but it's just regenerating. What? You gotta be kidding me. What the hell? What forces are at play here? At this rate, the girls won't survive the fight. Huh? My body feels light. I feel power surging! Thanks a bunch, you saved our skin so many times. Once again, breaking the fourth wall and referring to the player. That whole thing seems a bit odd, and I do want to take an opportunity to talk about that during this. Now, the main event, the chains have been broken and the main fight has begun. With 640,000 HP, you've got a bit of an event to come at you, and none of the glitch spots are even remotely nice. All of them will poison you, all of them are mean, just don't worry about them, just get rid of them. But yeah, I want to bring that up because it was brought up last part near the end of how we get the true ending. Once you've done all the side quests, for some reason, us, the player, get the ability to directly involve ourselves with the game on a supernatural level. And Arata is aware of it, to an extent. He doesn't seem completely aware, but he's aware to an extent. And I've kind of just put it on, well, because there's the real world and there's the video game world, maybe Arata just became aware of a third world, which is our world. Like, he became aware that he is not in a real world himself, per se. Similar to how Neptune is completely aware of the fourth wall in the Neptunia series. Arata became aware of the fourth wall in this, oddly, which doesn't really make too much sense, and I wouldn't be surprised if they completely retcon it out in the next game, like they just completely get rid of that. In fact, I'm willing to bet that they will completely get rid of it in the next game. I think they just ran out of ways to write around the cast surviving horrible events. So yeah, you know what, fuck it, let's just make it so Arata's aware of the player and the player does something. That's what it really feels like. Not that I'm really criticising it that much, it's just, that's just how it feels, you know? And so that's why, when I get to my talk after the post-credit scene of what I think is next for the series and what I think it all means, because I did write it just to make sure I'm following all the points I want to make, I don't mention it once because I just don't think it's going to be in the next one. I don't think it's going to be brought up at all when the next adventure comes around. That being said, after this fight, the next time you'll be hearing me talk isn't until that point, because I don't want to talk over the music that plays and I don't want to talk over the voice cutscenes. And to clarify, just for people following along, last part, you saw right at the end, you saw me spend extra time talking to DLC Rapuka one last time to get her ending. When we see the ending, you're going to be seeing Sheena's ending and then Rapuka's, and then the credits and then the post-credit scene. Because like I said, Sheena's is confirmed canon. Rapuka's is very shaky whether it's canon or not, because regardless of whether it is or isn't, it doesn't change anything about Sheena's ending. Like, if it changed something about Sheena's ending, it wouldn't be canon. But the fact that it doesn't change anything, it's its own thing, means it could be canon or not canon and it not really make a difference. Also, the only real reason I'm not really talking strategy of this fight is because there kind of isn't one. Everything this boss can throw at you, you have dealt with worse. Rapuka in last part threw worse at you. This is more of a sympathy match, all 3 phases.
Alright.
It feels more like you're just trying to put Iris out of her misery and try and break her from this horrible state, instead of actually having a big grand fight, which is perfectly fine. It's a story fight. All 3 phases is more of a story fight than a gameplay fight. Your gameplay fight, final fight, was against Rapuka. But you can see there, like, even its strong attacks like Demise are barely scratching characters like Owl, who have the weakest defense of the 3.
All good.
It's why I brought Owl along, because her rapid hitting plus her average amount of magic coverage makes her a really good all-rounder to keep alongside Sheena and Celica.
Take that.
Because look, that bar's going down. It's a big ass health bar, but it's going down. It's only got about 200-ish thousand left.
Hey, how's this?
And we've got it trapped, because unlike Rapuka, it can't really jump away. So we can just keep on wailing on it and get it trapped between us, because now it's not chained down, knockback is a thing again. As Return to Me continues to play in the background, which is such a great track. But there's part of me that kind of hopes they bring back a couple tracks for the sequel, but this, like I said, this is also the Mary Skelter team, and if you've played Mary Skelter 2 on the Switch, you'll know that their workaround was, instead of having the track come back, remixing the track and bringing that instead, which I thought was really cool. And so I wouldn't be surprised if they do the same for Death End 2, if, like, in Death End 2 there's a bunch of tracks that are from this game but have just been remixed to fit the new context, which would be really cool, because I loved the remixes in Mary Skelter 2. Seriously, if you get a chance, listen to the City Streets in Mary Skelter 2 compared to the City Streets in Mary Skelter 1. The difference is boggling. It's amazing, the sequel. I love the sequel's rendition so goddamn much. And I'd love to cover the Mary Skelter games on this channel at some point, but we just need to wait for Mary Skelter 2 to get ported to PS4, if it's ever going to. Because it came with an enhanced version of Mary Skelter 1, and that would be what I would let's play, because I actually enjoyed Mary Skelter 1. But an enhanced version is still an enhanced version.
Alright.
But we're nearing the end of the fight. We've got one cutscene that isn't voiced, and then after that, it is a voiced cutscene mixed in with none. But I don't want to talk over any of it because of the music. Like, I feel a bit against myself that I'm going to be talking over the cutscene coming up, but I do want to do this one at least, and then afterwards I'll shut up. After that, I'll shut up. Did we do it? Iris! And the Atoma is broken, the virus is destroyed. We can finally have the innocent child that Sheena looked after for so long back in the arms of Sheena, where she belongs. Sheena! And I love this ending. I'm going to try not to tear up as I go, but I adore this ending. Iris, were you waiting a long time for me? I'm sorry that it took me a while to get here. Totally, you could have hurried some more. Iris, could you tell me the kind of future you want? You see, Iris wants... I love this song. It's called You and I. It's a great song. Look it up if you get the chance. As I try not to tear up. I'm also kind of tired, which isn't helping. Iris, I know how scared you must be. I'm sorry I couldn't come sooner. The memories you've been showing me all this time, I see. Iris, you wanted me to remember, didn't you? You loved everyone, I remember. Iris, if there's an afterlife, I hope we can live together again. Aww. How weird, I've never even met Iris before. But I feel like I want to cry. This is weird. I wonder why I'm crying. I read one of the document logs for World's Odyssey. Each of you spent time with Iris before you began your journey with Sheena. Really? We can see her again at least. I hope someday. Oh, I love this song! It plays again after the credits, so I will not speak over that. To live with people you love. Iris and Sheena lived inside of a house together, I remember. This is the house of beginning. The reason I felt so comfortable inside of this house is because it's the home we made together. Master Arta, take this. What is this book? This tome contains the codes to perform the degrade. If you attempt it again, it may be an incomplete rewind, thus erasing your memories. With our technology, however, it will be a complete rewind and your memories will remain intact. If you're dead set on resisting fate, then by all means I dare you to get an outcome that's better than this shithole. Yeah, challenge accepted, I'll do it. Wait, did you just say again? Yes, I've lost count of how many times it's been now. You failed, fell into depression, you've tripped, and finally we are here. You placed reality objects to yourself and left breadcrumbs of your past self to follow. So please, for all of us, make sure next time you'll save Iris. Perhaps there exists a future where the two of you could become friends. That'll never happen! Watch me, I'll make it happen. I'm a programmer. I'll see you on the other side. So essentially creating their own Groundhog Day, they're going to rewind time to reset the events to try and make sure there's a different outcome. Sheena, I've obtained the power of the Ludens. I'm about to degrade the world. Mizunari? You currently don't exist in our world anymore. We only have your data, so I'm going to try and rewind history and this time you'll live. Could you really do that? I do. This time I don't think I'll need to leave hints on my past self. I'm referring to the reality objects. Wait, what? Do you mean you planted those? Seems like it. So let's get started. Are you all ready? Yep, we'll see each other again, right? If so, I'm game. Yes, you will. You better. I'd love to see Sheen and Ninamiya in person over in the real world. We'll make this world a better place. Let's go. Sheena, if I see you again in the real world, let's, well... Just admit it. Yurisa, you must really like Sheena. See, everyone knows. Mizunari, I'll see you again too, right? Yeah, with all the friends we've made. I promise we'll work together to save you. And if I do it, or when that happens. Huh? When what happens? Sounds like Yurisa basically said it all, so let's drop it, alright? Huh? Let them be together later. Let Yurisa and Sheena be a couple. Come on. Okay, this time for real. See you later. Sheena, I think I have a friend that comes from whatever zany planet Lydia's from. Next time, let's not use a creepy nickname like God of Death. How about something more like King of Resurrection? Alright, don't float your ego too much, thanks. I'll do my part in the real world too. If you ever need anything, I'll be there for you. Thanks, Arata. That is aimed at us, the players, by the way. But I'm gonna shut up and let the rest of this play, so see you in the post-credit scene.
It's pitch black. How did I... Where am I? What was I...
Hey!
Ah, it's so cold!
Did you fall asleep at your desk again? Once in a while is fine, but you'd be much better off with a pillow instead of a keyboard, bub.
Huh? Whoa! My source code! It's all T's and F's for hundreds of lines! Ah, it looks like a cat walked all over my keyboard! This isn't funny! Oh, I hope I saved before I dozed off.
Oh, looks like someone wrote nap time on your face. Oh, not your doing, I assume?
I don't have time to care about that. Oh, thank goodness. It's all saved.
Stupid Arda. Hey, what's with the look? Was I laughing too hard?
No, I was just thinking about how alive you are. Come here.
Hey,
You're warm. I'm glad.
Oh, what is the big idea? Are you still dreaming? You're acting funny, Arda.
Sorry. Don't mind me.
Jeez. Hey, why don't you wipe the drool off of your face? I heard someone new is coming in.
Someone new?
Yeah. Supposedly they're bringing in a director. I wonder how they'll fit in.
A director?
Greetings, everyone. Allow me to introduce our newest employee.
Rin!
Go on. Why don't you introduce yourself to everyone? Sure. I'm Shina Ninomiya, the new hire. I'll be working as director. It's been my dream to bring joy to gamers by making the best games possible.
I know.
Huh? Mizunashi, I was hoping that you could train Ninomiya. Huh? Do you two know each other? It's you!
I am not sure. Sure. My! My! I am not sure. りきりの夜を今日も越えてゆくの胸を焦がす記憶に抱かれてもう二度と触れることはできないんだとしてもあなたがくれた体温は消えない 途切れ心涙さえ消えた優しい声こだましてるよ最後だね微笑み交わした君のぬくもりまだ暖かいけどさよなら言えない傷は胸の中で涙がこぼれた君に会いたいけどもう二度と会えない言えない傷は胸の中で膨らんでまた晴れ上がってく言えないかけがえのない遠い日のメモリ孤独から誰かを傷つけ瞑想して全てを壊した虚無の世界途切れ心涙さえ消えた
And that was Death End Request in its entirety. much shorter than any other JRPG I've covered for this channel, but one that really does have a good heart and one that I thoroughly enjoy for what it is, despite having a lot of problems with it. But there's one thing that majorly needs to be discussed, and is what I'll be spending the next few minutes in, and that's the ending. There is a lot to cover, so bear with. I even wrote a script for this to make sure that I cover everything I wanted to cover. So, with saying that, let's begin. Right, before I begin, officially, this is just my interpretation of the ending. It could be completely different from yours, and that's fine. Neither of us are right or wrong until the sequel comes out, so take everything I say with a pinch of salt. That being said, the ending that I took from this was rather bittersweet. Firstly, let's do some context. A loop has been created that starts when Aruto and Sheena first meet and ends at the degrade done by Aruto with the salve pen that Lydia gives him and the tone that the Ludens give him. So the cast go through all the events of the game repeatedly, but with more knowledge of it each time. After 65,535 loops, Aruto and Sheena had yet to discover how to stop the worlds merging, so turned to alternative ways of dealing with it. All of that is fact. After that, however, I personally believe that when Sheena saw Aruto and suddenly remembered everything that had happened, the same eventually applied to everyone else. So Lily, Ao, Claire, Lucille, or Celica, or more accurately to use their real names, Eureka, Hinata, Cade, Svetlana, and Chloe, all recalled the events of the past and continued to work together. The alternative way that Aruto and Sheena found to stop the worlds merging and destroying each other is to instead just let it bleed through, but only more gradually than before. Somewhere along the many cycles, Aruto found a way to save Sheena from her blooded fate at the hands of Aphesis, instead using her data that she had created and collected during her travels through the Odyssey to recreate her into a Luden. So Sheena gets to be alive, but she is technically no longer human. So that's a happier note, I think, as a whole. Additionally, as the worlds did eventually merge, the Ludens, the Atoma, and every mystical being in between now all live in the same world as humans, but due to the bleeding effect being slow, no one really paid it any mind. It was just natural for them. Iris could now directly be related to Sheena because of Sheena's rebirth as a Luden, hence why Iris is referred to as Sheena's little sister. Eventually, as shown with Tokyo becoming emotional when meeting Sheena, the people on our side also started to remember the events of the game as well. However, I'm aware I'd be jumping the gun here if I said Rin, Munakata, and Werner remember as well, as we don't see them in any real scene after Tokyo starts to remember. As for Aphesis and their horrible leader, Victor Tailman, since most of the events of the game would still play out as normal, Alice would have still killed Victor and Aphesis likely would not have survived the merging. Alice, Nevin, and Nova then went about their lives in different ways. Alice effectively replaced Munakata's dead sister with herself, becoming what I can only assume was Munakata's now adopted sister. Levin and Nova set about travelling the world to learn of Earth and its people, hence why they were seen together in a cafe. Rapuka, assuming her DLC is canon, Rapuka was reincarnated as the voice in her head had previously implied. She became a young, red-haired girl with a passion for music that subdued her desire to kill, creating her own instrumental tracks and eventually even a song. I'm entirely speculating when I say this, but I think that the credit song is supposed to be Rapuka's song. However, if Rapuka's DLC is not canon, I still think she is reincarnated, but just not as the red-haired music girl. Instead, I want to bring attention to the very, very few things we've seen about the sequel so far, and so this could be completely blown out of water when we learn more information, and that's the new main character of the sequel being called Mai. Mai is cold, disconnected with society, and is shown to have almost definitely killed someone without showing any emotion on their face in the process. You might be ahead of me here, but I think that maybe Mai is the reincarnation of Rapuka, but it's way too difficult to tell right now, and it's highly unlikely, as we still know so little about the sequel in general. Lydia is the only true unknown for me. All we know about her is her real name isn't Lydia, but instead something else. But not only are we not given this name, we're also not given its significance. We don't know why her real name could be important, nor do we know why we should care at this point. Her real name could mean everything or absolutely nothing by the time the sequel comes around. Unless, of course, her real name ends up being Rapuka, but I'm getting conspiracy theory ahead with this already. Potentially, she could instead be Iris, but that's a big question mark, and I couldn't even begin to justify that, so pay me no mind with that one, just thinking out loud. We also don't know what truly became of Lydia after she quote-unquote failed her mission and gave the salve pen to Aruto. She still may be alive in the next game, or she could not be in the next game at all. What became of Werner Glock, Enigma Games' CEO? That's also left unknown. I do, however, suspect that he didn't actually live across the seas as he has suggested throughout the story. He more likely lived instead far closer, but maintained that story to throw off Aphesis from chasing him, so maybe we'll meet him in person in the next game. But where does that all leave the sequel? Well, if the worlds have merged, how people will act and how the world will look could change without people knowing any different, as mentioned earlier. So the creepy, vein-like environments shown in the teaser trailer that Maya and her team explore are likely to be the real world and not some fantasy world like in this game. They might be looking for a way to split the worlds again, but then again they could also just be trying to survive. But they do seem to know Sheena at least somewhat, so I can imagine they're working with her and perhaps Arata towards something. But who knows what. Maybe in an attempt to separate the two worlds again so things can finally go back to normal, if such a thing as normal exists after everything that's happened. Just before the degrade, Lily, or Eureka, definitely admitted her feelings to Sheena before trying to backtrack to cover herself up. So goddammit, let them hook up in the next game, and maybe while you're at it, as Tokyo Rin and Munakata gets to live, let Tokyo and Arata be together or something. Alright, I think I'm gonna wrap this up before I get too carried away. I'd love to hear different interpretations of the ending, as there's so much left to mystery here. But either way, I hope you enjoyed this playthrough as much as I've enjoyed going back through it. There's a lot of little things that I've thoroughly enjoyed coming back to that I didn't think I would. And there's still a few bonus videos, but I've yet to start working on them, so don't expect them straight away. But that being said, you guys take care, and I'll see you again whenever that may be. See yous.